everyone, my name is Mark, I'm your driver, and today we are taking this 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonale plug-in hybrid Veloce for a spin. Now, I am standing on this corner hiding from the wind because it is atrocious where I've parked this. I apologize for that in advance. On the side, we have probably the best wheels that you can get on any new car right now. These are just absolutely stunning. I'll throw a picture in there before I got them all dirty, but oh my God, like those wheels are so sick. Those are like right out of my childhood from racing Alphas and stuff like Gran Turismo. I love it, I love it. And with the red paint, it is pretty darn classic. Just looking at the front, this thing is a pretty drop-dead gorgeous small crossover SUV thing. It's got the ADAS stuff all hidden nicely. Like it's a very good looking front end. The way that this kind of cuts off the headlights there gives it sort of this angry brow. It's got these nice little grille extensions here. Really, I cannot find a lot of fault with this design other than I think it's sitting up too high. I would love to see one of these things on some coilovers or bags or just dumped, because I think that would look sick. Now, getting into the inside, we will find lots of suedes. So this one has the suede interior package, which means that you are going to get the Alcantara seats with the perforations, and of course nice soft materials here on the dash with some nice red stitching. Now, these seats are not heated and cooled, they're just heated. If you go for the leather seats, they are heated and cooled, which is nice. Now, as far as functionality and switchgear and everything goes, I really like how this is laid out. You've got all of your different buttons that are nice and easy to use. You can turn stuff on and off. You've got your temperature right here. You've got pretty much everything you need as far as climate goes. Now, as far as things like volume and media controls, you've got a really tactile, knurled volume knob there that just feels really nice. Sometimes companies don't quite get the indentations right, but this one I think is just perfect. You've got a quick button for your parking sensors to turn them off if they're annoying you. You've got your e-save mode, which isn't going to do much right now because we are at a full battery. You've got your air vents, which are nice. When this is pointed to the side, they are closed. When it's facing up, they are open, and these feel nice and well damped. Right here, these feel nice and well damped. You've got some nice knurled finishes here on some of the switchgear, and this is nice and clicky too. On the upper dash, I don't love this. This is sort of a low grain leather style material. It is soft, but just the way it looks makes you think that it's really hard plastic, but it's not. It does have some give to it. It's not going to crack. It's not like brittle, cheap plastic. On the door cards, you've got some of that sort of, I want to call it like wetsuit material. I don't know what it is, but it's really soft, and I quite like it. It's soft, it's plush, it's here on the armrest, which is super comfortable. I don't know if you can see that, but there is a ton of cushioning here, even down a little bit lower. The center armrest is the same way, and it's got lots of padding. In here you'll find some space, not a ton, but then again, you do have some nice big cup holders that will fit all of your drinks, all of your things. You've got a wireless charger here for your mobile phone. This is a 12 Pro Max, which means it's gigantic and it still fits, although it's a little bit difficult to get it in and out of there, but it does fit. So if you don't have a massive phone, that's going to be perfect. You also have a Type A and a Type C, and your 12-volt cigarette lighter socket there. Glove box, big enough size for all your different things. And overall, this is a pretty decent place to be. You've got lots of different buttons and controls on the steering wheel. You can easily go through all of your different widgets and things. You can switch the display with this little button right here on the end so that you can go through some different looks. So this one is the minimal and clean look. And if you put a widget up there, it will take up the entire display, like with navigation. So we'll try to find that here. And there you go. You've got full screen navigation right there. That's really nice. But this one right here is my favorite because it has an actual tachometer, speedometer, and all of the racy things that you need for your Alfa Romeo. And of course, how could I forget the giant aluminum elephant in the room, which are these massive and gorgeous paddle shifters. These are fantastic. They do make reaching for the stalks a little bit tricky sometimes if you have smaller hands. They've really done a good job of not just layering this interior with glossy black plastics. Nothing really in here that I can think of other than this area and this area is going to fingerprint or scratch all that badly. I think this interior over time is going to hold up remarkably well. Now we'll have a look at the rear seats and then we'll get this on the road. And you've got this cute little snake with the little plug head, cute little nod to the Alfa Romeo logo, as well as it being a plug-in hybrid. I think that's some nice attention to detail there. And sat behind myself comfortably at 6'3". I do have leg room, although, yeah, knee room is a little bit compromised, but the seat can kind of compress a fair bit, so I'm not too worried about that. My feet can slide all the way under the seat in front, which is great. I can sort of stretch out. I can be comfortable back here. I've got enough headroom. It kind of scoops out, which is nice. You've got your armrest with your phone holder, and maybe a snack holder, your cup holders, a pass-through for some skis or something. And this leather material back here is really nice. It's really fine grain. It's really soft. This here looks nice. This looks nice. Really, I mean, the back seat is not a bad place to be whatsoever. You've got climate controls back here. You've got a Type C and a Type A. The door cards, the materials do get a little bit nastier up top, but on the side you do still have some nice soft padding and some really cushy armrests and a spot to put your drink, which is great. This is not a bad interior. This is not a bad place to be. I really like the physical controls. All the materials feel great. There's no creaks and no rattles. But yeah, overall, this interior space is a pretty nice place to look at. You've got a bunch of different materials, nothing creaks, nothing rattles. Everything feels really solidly screwed together. Doesn't feel like it's going to come apart. And because there's a really good amount of restraint with the amount of glossy surfaces in here, I think over time this interior is going to age remarkably well. Now, before I get too far into the drive segment, I do just want to quickly talk about the hybrid system. I'm going to keep it on this display here because it shows you what the two different systems are doing. So you do have a 121 horsepower electric motor on the rear axle that makes 185 pound-feet of torque. That's really solid. Up front, you've got that turbocharged 1.3 that's making 180 horsepower and 199 pound-feet of torque. So overall, the system is slightly front biased, but that rear motor is incredibly usable, which means you can totally get around town just in electric mode. Now, the other thing is it's an Alfa Romeo. Can you rev it? So I'm in advanced efficiency, which is sort of the electric mode. I'm putting my foot down, nothing's happening. But if I go through the kick down switch, which is sort of like pushing the pedal through the floor, I can get it to do kind of a weird rev thing. So that is cool. And you can see the amount of power that the engine is producing. So let's head out purely electrically. Now, this might seem like a little bit of an odd vehicle. It's an Alfa Romeo, so it's Italian and it's a little bit weird, you might think, but I mean, the interior is really logically laid out. Everything is where I need it to be. I mean, everything feels really nice. Like, the indicators feel really heavily weighted and expensive. And it's got a 6-speed Aisin Automatic, which means you're not dealing with a CVT or an e-CVT. It's a slightly more conventional driving experience. So, I mean, I'm just in electric mode. I'm kind of puttering around. I'm using 14 kilowatts of power. This is really pleasant. The only thing I can hear is sort of a high-pitched electric motor, sort of high-voltage noise that comes from the back of the car, which I think is cool. I think that, you know, gives me something to engage with. And, I mean, I'm just cruising, using 16 kilowatts of power. If I get into it, 89, 90 kilowatts of power. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's definitely got the torque, but then it does kind of run out of shove up top. So if I just slow down here a little bit to, let's say, 60, which is around 30, 40 miles an hour, pushing 90 kilowatts, and there's 60. So electric performance is solid, and of course it's going to be quicker off the line than it is from, you know, 60 to 100 kilometers an hour. Oh, the turn signals just feel so weighty and expensive. It's fantastic. Now, they do return to center, but if you do want to cancel, you just sort of half press it to the other side. And no, it does not turn on the other indicator. It's not super annoying like that. So you can see that when we're just keeping up with traffic and getting off the line, we're really only using about 40% of that rear motor's capability. So it's got plenty of shove, and the fact that it has no transmission back there other than the reduction gears means that you can just step on it at any time and it just produces forward motion immediately, like an electric car. So it's just got that instant boost, which is great. Now, if we move it into normal mode, you're going to switch to a tachometer and it's going to show you what that internal combustion engine is actually doing. And it is going to stay an electric vehicle most of the time, unless the gas engine needs to warm up or, you know, do anything like that to kind of keep itself well maintained. Now, if we give ourselves a little bit of room and just kind of step on it a little bit, sort of like half throttle, that was actually a really smooth transition. The engine kicks on, you can kind of hear / feel that starter generator, you know, smoothly spinning the engine up. And then the transmission just kind of does its thing. Pretty good. Not jerky at all. So I'm, you know, just doing 50 and I need to maybe overtake. You've got that initial surge of power from that electric motor. So you're never just waiting for power. That electric motor has got your back. And then you just get this extra sort of wave of torque from that really torquey 1.3 liter up front. Now, we'll go through this conservatively on the way down because it is a little bit slippery, and then we'll sort of attack things and use these big old paddle shifters on the way back up. Now, if I go into manual mode, it's going to fire the engine on and downshift. Downshift. They're pretty prompt. And then if we go back into drive, it'll shut the engine back off. Now, when you do go into dynamic mode, it is going to force that engine to stay on. It is going to give you maximum attack. It is going to give you all of the 285 horsepower and 347 pound-feet of torque. It's a lot. I find you can come to a pretty smooth stop with these brakes, even though they are brake-by-wire and have regen and everything. I'm struggling a little bit with the limo stops, you know, the easing off the brake as you come to a full stop. I am struggling with that slightly, but even without, you know, really buttering those limo stops, the brakes are not difficult to use. Now, you will feel a much stronger pull when you push past regen, so just be aware that, you know, midway through your braking journey, you may have to sort of ease off the brakes because the Brembos are getting in there. The steering is nice and light and it picks up firmness well as you go through the drive modes and drive it more aggressively. And you can actually feel some of the road texture, which is really great. You can feel what's going on with the front wheels, which is super cool. Oh, just like those Maybach wheels. All right, let's go into D. Whew. That rips. We'll go up one more. Ooh. I'm going to manual mode, first gear. That was weird, kind of auto upshifted for me. Oh, it's got so much torque. And you can feel what's going on with the front wheels. The steering is really good. Give myself a little bit of space once again. Second gear, roll on. It's pretty rapid. And because that electric motor is doing so much of the work, you really don't hear that 4-cylinder almost ever. Like, you really only hear it when it's at like 5,500 RPMs. The rest of the time, it just is silent. It's really great. And then we can dial it right back into N. Ooh, and the regen is much stronger in dynamic mode. So if we come off there, we're pulling 30 kilowatts there without even touching the brakes. The engine picks back up. But yeah, wow, that regen is so strong. That's really great. And then we'll just move it back into advanced efficiency. And I think we're gonna do that one more time because I'm really enjoying the steering, the paddles. Even though it might not be the most, you know, direct and, call it, I don't know, sportiest thing in the world, it still does a really good job. So right there, I will say I was waiting for power just a little bit. We are in advanced efficiency, but I think it's doing some stuff with the gas motor. Just to kind of keep it on and doing its thing. And these paddle shifters are actually, whoa, man, that regen is so strong. I love it. You can see that we're pulling like 30 kilowatts back without even touching the brakes, which is sort of like the normal regen threshold before it activates the Brembos, which is really cool. But the shifts, even though it's not the 8-speed ZF, it is a 6-speed Aisin box, they're still prompt enough. The upshifts maybe not quite as prompt as the downshifts, but it's engaging enough and the paddles certainly make up for it. Oh, and that regen is just keeping us so controlled. We got stuff sliding around in the back. This thing, it actually does rip. Now you can tell that it's not super rear biased, but the way that this thing puts its power down is really, really good. Man. Okay, this thing's fun to drive. And it's a good commuter. And it's the same price as a Rav4 Prime. Oh, they don't make the Prime anymore. It's the Rav4 PHEV now. That's much more appealing of a name. But yeah, the Rav4, I was just pricing one out the other day, and they are the PHEV with the technology package. A Rav4 is $65,000 Canadian. That's some serious money to be paying for a Rav4. Now, this one with a similar spec, I spec'd it to 65. So this car costs the same as a Rav4, which is a PHEV. And I gotta tell you, I think I'd have this. At least for like a lease or something, I think the Rav4 would be the smarter option to own outright, just because of their resale, and Alphas don't historically do the best when it comes to depreciation. But Toyota has a massive wait list, and I can tell you almost for certain that Alfa would happily have you right now. When you look at this as a $65,000 car in a vacuum, you might go, okay, well, it's not, you know, that special. But then you look and the Rav4 is also $65,000, and this is way more special than a Rav4. This has some charisma to it. It's got gorgeous wheels, it looks fantastic, and it's got a real transmission that's made by Aisin, which is the same company that manufactures transmissions for Toyota, as far as I'm aware at least. So, you know, at least the gearbox should be reliable. I mean, from where I'm sitting, it drives remarkably well. The dual stage dampers are doing their job. You can definitely feel them stiffen up and just keep that body more controlled in dynamic mode. And when you're just cruising, the NVH is really low. This is really nice. There's no rattly ass 4-cylinder that's vibrating you at a stoplight. There's like, it's not groaning all the time when you accelerate. It's really pleasant. Like, I really can't overstate how not noticeable this 4-cylinder is. Like that was totally seamless. Totally smooth. The steering is something that I have to give them major credit for. The steering, they have not messed it up. It's not rubbery, it's not weird, even though it's obviously an electric power steering rack because the engine turns off, so how would you move the wheel? It's really good. It's direct, it turns in really sharply. There's some pretty decent communication, better than I felt in most vehicles of this era. Like, I don't know, I like it. It's got the charm, okay? It's got the charm. It might not have the resale value or the reliability of the Toyota RAV4, but it's got a personality. It's got that charisma that people really love with their Alphas. You know, you watch reviews and reviewers tend to be kind of down on Alphas for, you know, all the reasons I mentioned. But then you go to the comments section and it is just flooded with people telling you just how much they love their Alphas and how many hundreds of thousands of miles they've had them for, and how if you just keep up with maintenance and treat them well, they will treat you well in kind. And that's what I love to hear. I love to hear when, you know, kind of a dogged-on manufacturer just has these super loyal owners that'll defend in the comments section, that aren't insufferable, I should add. These are people that genuinely seem to have a passionate connection with their car, more than just, oh, mine's faster than yours, or mine's better looking or more expensive than yours. Like, they seem to actually have, you know, connections with their Alphas, and I think that's kind of what the brand is all about. So yeah, this could just be a boring commodity plug-in hybrid, but no, they've given you big old paddle shifters, they've given you a bunch of power and torque, and they've given you, you know, logically laid out interiors with real buttons that real enthusiasts complain about constantly. So they've got all of the fundamentals here. It just happens to be a front bias, you know, CUV. Like, there's just power everywhere, which is so cool. We've got the drag heel set up. We've got ourselves in our sportiest settings. We're just gonna leave it in automatic mode. Wow, it'll push through the brakes. Okay. And that was 6.1. Felt like it could have been faster for sure. So a little bit slower than the factory claim, but again, it just seems to want to push through those brakes. It does not want to hold this car back. So yeah, 6.2 seconds is plenty quick, and I bet it would be faster if the road wasn't in this condition. But we are going to run it back one more time and see what the 0 to 60 looks like in just electric mode. All right, we are in advanced efficiency mode, which means we are fully electric right now, and we are going to see what the 0 to 60 is. That was a 13.5. So not the quickest for sure, but it only has 121 horsepower. Let's try that one more time. I'm gonna back out of it because we got to turn. A little bit of body roll in our advanced efficiency mode. But yeah, 0 to 30 takes 4 and a bit seconds, which is plenty fast for all of your city commuting needs. I'm pretty happy with that. We got a 6.2 with the gas engine on and a 13-second with the gas engine off. So that's what your performance is gonna look like. Honestly, I've kind of fallen in love with this thing. It is way more fun to drive than something like a RAV4 or a CR-V or really any of the other commodity vehicles out there. Man, you just got to take it for a test drive, okay? This is a personality car. You have to take it for a test drive. You cannot look at this thing on paper. Even though the front seats are more spacious and the rear seats are more spacious than a RAV4, you are losing cargo space. But that's not what this is about. Even though the ethos of this car is to be efficient and to get you, you know, commuting and back, it's trying to be more than that. It's trying to like give a little bit of life to your commute, and man, I think it does that. And just in between gear changes, when the transmission's cutting power to change gears, the electric motor's still pushing. So it's just seamless. It's nice. It gives me the flexibility of having, you know, an electric car that can do 50 kilometers, which is more than most people drive in a day, but also a gas engine that can do 530 kilometers on a tank of gas. And put those together, you got a pretty efficient car. And even an e-save, like I said, the transmission is totally negligible because the electric motor is always providing power. Like, it's just quick all the time. It's just fun. It's just a bit of fun. And that is not something you really get in many other cars of this class, unless they're German. But this just has the, you know, like, I don't know, it just, I like it. It's put a smile on my face and is definitely worth checking out. I think it's a lot better than a lot of other reviewers have said that it is. And for that, you know, I feel kind of bad. You know, it's well laid out, it's comfortable, it's got ambient lighting, it's got all the things you want, but also I think, you know, it's gonna age pretty well. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Hope you enjoyed. Later.